Hey, what's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist and I'm going to be doing a Floowandereeze deck profile. So I'm really excited this week guys because this is actually suggested to me by one of my patrons, Mimi. And this deck is an extremely powerful deck that's been doing really well competitively and has some really awesome tech cards in this build for you guys. So without further ado guys, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell there so you can become part of the notification squad, and definitely check out the Patreon down in the description below for all those awesome rewards like getting your name description for every single video, getting a signed card sent in the mail, and even getting to request a deck profile every single month to our Patreon, along with test hands. So without further ado, let's get straight on into this, and definitely give Mimi some love down in the comments down below for suggesting such an awesome deck. So let's get straight on into this. So first off, we're going to be playing 2 copies of Floowandereeze Impin. Impin is a great 2-of in the deck that has the ability, if this card is Tribute Summon, you can add a Floowandereeze spell or trap from your deck to your hand. Then you can immediately, after this card resolves, normal summon 1 monster. And then when this Tribute Summon card is in the monster zone, your opponent cannot activate cards and effects of special summon monsters that they control in attack position. And then once per turn, during damage calculation, if this card battles an opponent's monster, quick effect, you can banish 1 card from your hand, and that opponent's monster's current attack and defense becomes halved until the end of this turn, which is a really powerful effect. This card is just a really awesome boss monster for this deck. We're then playing a single copy of Snowell. Snowell is a good one-of. I've recently bumped this card in and really like it because it has the ability that once per turn, when you control this Tribute Summon card, you can conduct up to 3 normal summoner sets this turn, not just 1. And then while this Tribute Summon card is in the monster zone, if your opponent, or if your monster attacks a defensive monster, you inflict piercing damage to your opponent. And then once per opponent's turn, a quick effect, you can banish 1 card from your hand and then change all special summon monsters your opponent controls into face down defense position, which is a really awesome effect that basically you can just Book of Moon all of your opponent's monsters that are special summon. We then play a single copy of Mega Ryza. Ryza is just so good at bouncing cards. It's an overall just a fantastic card to be able to drop during the opponent's turn with cards like Dreaming Town. This card is just a really good card. We then play 3 copies of Floowandereeze Rabina. Rabina is the best normal summon in the entire deck, and it gets the entire deck rolling because it has the ability, if this face-up card will lead the field, you banish it instead, and you can only use each effect of this card once per turn. And you cannot special summon monsters during the turn you activate either effects. And it has the ability also that if this card is normal summon, you can add a level 4 lower Wing Beast monster from your deck to your hand. Then immediately after this effect resolves, you get to normal summon a Wing Beast monster, and if a Wing Beast monster is normal summoned to your side of the field, while this card is banished, you can add this card to your hand, which is a really good effect to be able to use to just get any of your low-level Floowandereeze back to your hand because they all share that effect. The only unique effect to Rabina is that if it's normal summon, you get to add a level 4 lower Wing Beast monster from your deck to your hand. We then play 3 copies of Floowandereeze Eaglin. Eaglin is a really good 3-of as well because it has the ability that if it's normal summon, you can add a level 7 or higher Wing Beast monster from your deck to your hand. So you're always going to want to open up Rabina so that you can then normal summon Eaglin, and then Eaglin will search your copy of Impin, and then Impin will search Dreaming Town so you can go full combo. So it's a really good line to be able to just use all of these cards to be able to summon. We then play 2 copies of Floowandereeze Stria. Stria is a good 2-of because it has the ability that if this card is normal summon, then you can target a card in either player's graveyard and banish it, which is a really good effect. We then play a single copy of Toucan. Toucan is a good 1-of in here. You just really need the 1 copy of this card for the toolbox, but this card has the ability that if this card is normal summon, you can target one of your banished Floowandereeze cards and add it back to your hand, which is a pretty good effect to be able to just get that card back to your hand. We then play a single copy of the Barrier Statue of Stormwinds. This card is really good at locking down your opponent's turn because when this card is on the field, no player can special summon monsters except for wind monsters, so this card is a really good card to put on the field, especially with Impin backing it up. We then play a single copy of Harpy Harpist, which is my personal tech of the deck. I really like this card in the deck because it's easily searchable off of cards like your Rabina, and it also combos really well with one of the other tech cards that we're playing in the deck. This card has the ability that becomes Harpy Lady while on the field or in the graveyard, and you can only use each effect of this card once per turn, that when this card is normal summoned, you can target a Wing Beast type monster that you control other than this card and a face-up monster your opponent controls and return them to the hand. And then during the end phase, if this card is in the graveyard, because it was sent there this turn, you can add a level 4 winged beast monster with 1500 or less attack from your deck to your hand, which can search your barrier statue, which is really awesome. We then play 3 copies of Dimensional Shifter to round out the monsters. Dimensional Shifter is really good because your Floowandereeze are already banishing themselves, so this card is just really good to drop against the opponent to turn off their entire turn, and has the ability, if you have no cards in the grave, quick effect, send this card from your hand to the grave. Until the end of the next turn, any card sent to the graveyard is banished instead, which is an awesome effect. So that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's get into the spells. So for the spells, we're going to be playing a single copy of Harpy's Feather Duster. Harpy's Feather Duster is really good in the deck because it's just going to get rid of all of your opponent's back row, which is one of the only things that this deck is actually weak to, is back row. But this card is really good at just clearing all of them out. We then play a single copy of Called by the Grave so we don't get hand trapped, because you really want that Rabina play to go through. So this card is very important in this build. We then play a single copy of Floowandereeze and the Unexplored Winds. This card is kind of neat for the deck because it has the ability that you can conduct a tribute summon that requires 2 tributes by sending one monster that you control and a card your opponent controls to the graveyard instead of tributing it. And it's still treated as a tribute summon, which is really cool that it says card and not monster. And then during your main phase, you can reveal up to 2 winged beast monsters in your hand and place them on the bottom of your deck in any order, and then draw that many cards that you put on the bottom of the deck, which is really good because it can help you get the extra copies of your Floowandereezes that you have in your hand that you don't really need onto the bottom of the deck, so you can draw out some combo pieces. We then play 3 copies of Advent for Adventure. Advent for Adventure is a really good card in the deck because it has a really good effect to actually search a bunch of the cards, because it has the ability that you banish a winged beast monster from your hand or face from field to add a Floowandereeze monster or a Floowandereeze field spell from your deck to your hand, and then you gain 500 life points, which is a pretty good effect to be able to just search any of your cards like your copies of Rabina. We then play 3 copies of the Magnificent Map. Magnificent Map is a great field spell that helps you get to your copies of Rabina, because during your main phase, you can reveal a level 1 Floowandereeze monster in your hand and banish a Floowandereeze card with a different name from your deck. Then immediately this card resolves, you get to normal summon the revealed monster. And if your opponent normal summons a monster, immediately after this card resolves, you get to normal summon a Floowandereeze monster, which is really good because it lets you start your combo on your opponent's turn, which is really neat. But basically, if you open up your copies of Toucan, Straya, or Eaglin, you can use their effect to reveal them. And then once you reveal them in your hand, you can banish Rabina and then normal summon out your copy of your monster, and the Rabina's effect will go off, adding itself to hand, and your copy of your Floowandereeze that's on the field will go off and let you normal summon the Rabina, which is really insane. We then play 3 copies of Pot of Duality. Pot of Duality is good because we don't special summon, so we can basically just look at the top 3 cards of our deck and add one of them to the hand. We then play 3 copies of Pot of Extravagance. We don't summon too much out of the extra deck, so this card is really good. So basically just banish 6 cards from our extra deck face down to be able to draw 2 cards. We then play 3 copies of Book of Moon. Book of Moon is really good in the deck because this card will flip a monster on the opponent's side of the field face down, or flip one of our monsters face down so we don't take quite as much damage. But this card is really good to disrupt the opponent's play, so you definitely need to play 3 copies of Book of Moon. So that's it for the spells, guys. Let's get into the traps. So for the traps, we're going to be playing a single copy of Floowandereeze and the Dreaming Town. This card is really insane in the deck, and the card you're always searching off your copy of Impin, because it has the ability that during the main phase, immediately this card resolves, you get to normal summon a level 4 lower winged beast monster, which basically you just search this card, set it, and then you'll normal summon Rabina with this card's effect, to then search your copy of Barrier Statue, and then summon out the Barrier Statue off the Rabina's effect that you just searched to lock your opponent down during their own turn, which is really good. This card also has the ability that if you tribute summon a level 7 or higher monster while this card's in the graveyard, you can banish this card and then change all monsters your opponent controls to face down defense position, which combos very well with your copy of Snowl. We then play 3 copies of Harpy's Feather Storm. Harpy's Feather Storm is insane in the deck, especially with Harpy Harpist, because it has the ability that if you control a winged beast type monster until the end of this turn, you negate any monster effect that your opponent activates. And if you control a Harpy monster, you can activate this card from your hand. And if this card is in its control and its spell and trap card zone is destroyed by an opponent's card effect, you get to search Feather Duster. So this card is just overall a fantastic 3-of in this deck to be able to completely turn off your opponent's entire turn. And with cards like Harpy Harpist, you can just activate it directly from the hand, which is just really nuts. So that's it for the main deck, guys. Let's get into the extra deck. So for the extra deck, we're going to be playing 3 copies of Assembled Nightingale. Assembled Nightingale is really easy to summon in this deck. You can attack directly to make it a little bit easier to make your copies of Zeus. We then play a single copy of this rank 1 Winged Beast. It's really good because it's unaffected by card effects, so it's an overall fantastic card to play a little bit more defensively. We then play 3 copies of Downer Magician. Downer Magician is always going to be made on top of your Assembled Nightingale, so you can make multiple material Zeus. So this card is just a really good card to make during main 2 so that you can make your copies of Zeus. Speaking of Zeus, we play 3 copies of Zeus in this build to be able to just completely board wipe the opponent and guarantee that we're going to get that board wipe. And plus, with copies of Pot of Extravagance in this deck, you want to play more 3-ofs than you want to play 1-ofs in this build because you really want to get to your copy of Zeus when you need it. We then play 2 copies of Harpy Conductor. Harpy Conductor is really good because it combos very well with Harpy's Feather Storm and has a really good effect that this card's name becomes Harpy Lady while in the field or in the graveyard, and if a Harpy monster you control would be destroyed by battle or by card effect, then you can destroy a spell or trap you control instead, and if another face-up Harpy monster you control returns to your hand, except during the damage step, you can target a special summon monster your opponent controls and return that card to the hand as well, which combos really well with our copy of Harpist. For the last monster, the extra deck, I'm playing 3 copies of Relinquished Anima. Relinquished Anima is a new addition to this deck, and it's just really good because you can link away any of your birds on your side of the field that are level 1 into this card and gobble up an opponent's monster. So this card can out a lot of different things, so it's a definite 3-of. So that's it for the deck, guys. I hope you did enjoy it. It's a really awesome deck. It's super fun to be able to play. I really love playing around with Floowandereeze, and it's a deck I wouldn't hesitate to carry to a locals or a regionals or any tournament and compete with, and it's really cool for an old school player like me to play a deck like this because you're pretty much just tribute summoning like the old days of Yu-Gi-Oh, which is really awesome. So anyways, guys, this is DarkArmedDuelist. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell in there so you can become part of the notification squad, and we'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.